Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 44 of the Zoomer Sports Radio. As always, I'm Andrew, and today I'm joined by a special guest here on the show. He was drafted in the 11th round of the 2016 MLB draft. He's a BYU alum, and he's a current pitcher for your Chicago Cubs. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Rucker.
How's it doing? How's it going?
Good. How are you on this nice Tuesday afternoon?
Doing good. Yeah, no, I just got finished with my throwing program and just barely starting it up. Took a few weeks off from throwing when the season wrapped up at the beginning of October, and just getting back into it, ready for another season.
That's awesome to hear. And like the first question I always like to ask any like professional athlete that comes on my show is, who was your biggest role model growing up as a youngster, and what made you fall in love with the game of baseball?
Yeah, so I actually I was born in Mississippi, and I've got an older brother and an older sister. Both of them played baseball. My sister played softball. And my brother won a state championship in Mississippi. He's like 13 years older than me, so it was forever ago. But just from there and going to my first ever big league game at Turner Field, watching the Braves, just with how good that team was. And, I just, from an early age, I just loved baseball. And as I, started Little League, it just kind of found that was kind of my thing that I loved to do. And I was pretty good at it. So I continued to do it. And I wanted to get better, wanted to be a big leaguer one day, and fortunate and blessed that I can say that now.
Yeah, and so you went to Turner Field back was those the Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz days, Andrew Jones out there in the outfield.
Oh yeah.
95 World Series champs.
Yeah, that's when prior to this year, that was their last one that they won. But yeah, they won like 14 division titles in a row, something crazy like that. Yeah, they're really fun to watch. And back then, Turner TBS, they always showed Braves games like nationally. So it was always easy to tune in and watch them.
Yeah, it's just like the Cubs back when they were on WGN all across America. And who was your favorite MLB player? Like, who did you idolize growing up? Was it one of those guys on the Braves team, like a Greg
pitching,
Maddux?
Yeah, from the pitching side, I love watching Greg Maddux. Just what he's able to do with baseball is awesome. And then I really loved watching Chipper Jones too. When I played a position in the field, I was third baseman, and I always thought it was so cool. He could hit from both sides, and just is incredibly talented and good player. So yeah, he was really fun to watch.
Yeah, two Hall of Famers right there. So pretty impressive. And so you went to Gonzaga and BYU. What was your whole college recruiting process like out of high school?
So with high school, I played in Washington. So I had a number of different offers of places as I kind of either went to showcases or camps. People kind of just figured out who Michael Rucker is, and had a couple of different offers. But I went to Gonzaga first as, relatively close to home, and they had a good program. I mean, you look at what Marco Gonzalez has done with the Mariners as a starting pitcher for them. We had a pretty good program, and it was a place that I thought could definitely take my baseball, like what I had, and could just make it better. Unfortunately, the situation there just didn't really work out. And I really liked what BYU was doing. They were another school that I was interested in coming out of high school. They had a recent coaching change, and just looked like an incredibly attractive opportunity for me to go play for them. And we made it to like West Coast Conference tournament. Had a good record. It was a great time there.
Yeah, it must have been fun to play against your former team, as Gonzaga is also in that conference.
Yeah, there was a little bit of bad blood about me cheering for in conference for sure, but But yeah, my experience at BYU, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was I was happy to be drafted and go pursue pro ball, but I was definitely leaving something good behind at BYU.
Yeah. So you were in the minor leagues. You played for Myrtle Beach, South Bend, Tennessee, Iowa, all the Cubs affiliates. And 2020, when COVID took over, how did the cancellation of the 2020 minor league season affect your training regimen and your development as a ball player?
Yeah, so coming off of 2019, it was a complete whirlwind off season, and with COVID, everything. I know there's an article on The Athletic that kind of talks about it. In the off season of after 2019, I was actually Rule 5 drafted by the Orioles. I went to camp with them and had a pretty good camp, but they kind of had a different idea of who they were going to go with for their starting rotation. So they sent me and another pitcher by the name of Brandon Bailey, who also happened to pitch at Gonzaga, but that's kind of a funny story. But he went back to the Astros. He's with the Reds now, but and then I got sent back to the Cubs. And then right when I was about to get into a big league game with the Cubs, COVID shut everything down. So I went from Cubs to Orioles spring training to getting sent back to the Cubs. And yeah, and then the shutdown happened and just complete whirlwind of events. And I think it was hard. I completely expected 2020 to be the year that I was going to start in AAA and then have a chance to earn a promotion to the big leagues. And having it be, an alt site year, that's where I spent all of the time there. It just kind of lost a little bit of that competitiveness, I guess, because we're not playing against fresh faces and it's against the same guys. The way that we set up our alt site, we had 16, 17 pitchers and 6 or 7 position players. So you're facing the same 6 guys and live ABs. Every time I took the mound, facing them multiple times. So it became a little monotonous, but at the same time, had the opportunity to work with our coaches and staff really closely and work on some things. I was able to kind of start adding a cutter, which has been a huge pitch for me this year as I started to use it more often. And yeah, I wasn't just kind of a little bit frustrated knowing that, okay, I've got to wait another year to really get my feet wet in AAA and then kind of earn that opportunity. But
do you think my bad. Do you think that alt site, your 7 position players and the pitchers you're with, working together for that 2-month, 3-month period every day will help you guys as in the big league club now with 2021, 2022, as the Cubs move forward?
Yeah. So the way that we had it is we were bringing in quite a few free agent pitchers that we're just kind of seeing. I think the Cubs are trying to see what was out there and kind of use the alternate training site as kind of a proving ground for some guys that were free agents that they might have wanted given a shot to. But yeah, there's a number of guys that were there that have made contributions to the Cubs this year and that have been in the organization, and it was a good time to just be able to. I don't know. It was definitely a tighter, smaller group than it was, and we were playing games and against each other as tight knit group. I think that having that more as a developmental time and not focus so much on games or the score. I think we're able to each kind of work on things that we each knew that we needed to have in order to be successful at the big leagues. So it's definitely not. It's just the biggest drawback with the alt side is just how mundane it was. Just show up at the same field, be with all of the COVID protocols and social distancing and just not knowing when things would go back to normal, I guess, is kind of one of the bigger things of why it was so hard.
Yeah, I totally understand. Fast forward to 2021, It's like July 24th, that week leading up to the trade deadline. Kimbrel gets dealt, Tepera gets dealt, Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, all franchise favorites, fans have loved. Guys have been in the dugout for 5+ years. They all get dealt July 30th. Washington Nationals, you guys are at National Park. You get called up. What was going through your head when you got that call, and how nervous were you running out to the mound for the very first time as a big leaguer wearing that historic Cubby blue uniform?
So when there was a game against, at home in Iowa, and the way that we've kind of been working our pitching rotation within the bullpen is kind of, you knew that if you had thrown a couple innings that you were going to maybe get a day or two and then pitch. And given who was available, I thought, I'm definitely going to be one of the first guys out of the pen. And as the game progressed, like our starter went like 4 or 5, and then we had some other guys come up and pitch. And after the game, I was kind of like scratching my head, like, why didn't they throw me? And after the game, pitching coach comes over to my locker and says, like, hey, can you meet in coach's office real quick? And so I go in there, and there's 4 or 5 of us. So I was like, me, Fargus, Schwindel, Romine, and Manny Rodriguez were all in there all at the same time. And we knew that we were following the trade deadline and seeing who was getting dealt. We knew about Chafin and we knew about Tep, but we didn't know for sure any of the other names and exactly where they were going. But what they told us was, you're at least on the taxi squad, so you're going to be going to Nationals Park. But I'm not sure if who or if any of you guys are going to get activated or what, but good luck, and we'll see you when we see you. So it wasn't necessarily like Rucker called up to the big leagues. I was like, all right, you're on the taxi squad. Okay. So I was just kind of waiting and seeing what was all going on with the trade deadline. And as we come into the ballpark, and it was me and Manny arrived at the same time, and then the position players arrived a little bit later. It was a little bit hectic. There was just a ton going on. Saw, KB on the phone, saw Marisnik on the phone. Kimbrel was kind of having his last supper there in the cafeteria. And one of the things that he kind of joked about when he was talking with me and Manny for a second is, he's like, well, I got traded to the White Sox. You guys got traded to the big leagues. How's that work out for you? So that's kind of a funny little story. But all in all, when the dust settled from all the trades, we figured out that we were getting activated and just like signed our contract and just super excited. And there's a bunch of people to share it with too. And I didn't really feel like, with how many guys there was, and Manny making his debut the same day I did, it was kind of comforting that there was just more than myself in that same predicament. I think I definitely would have been more overwhelmed making my debut if it was just me and all the attention on me. But warming up for the first time, and then like running into the game, just with how many fans there are going from AAA, where it's 5,000 to 10,000 if it's like a really packed night, to I think it was like 39,000. So like 4 times bigger crowd. You have like the extra deck that as you're running out to the mound, like you're not used to. And it's just like, whoa, this is it. This is the show. That's why they call it the show. And I just tried to take like a deep breath, like realize how cool and awesome it is, and then try to dial in and realize, all right, this is it. I got to get out. Like, this is cool, but got to focus on my job.
And most importantly, you get called into the pitch in Washington that day, and it's not an easy assignment. one of the first guys you got to face is perhaps maybe the NL MVP, Juan Soto.
Yeah, so I actually had a chance facing him in spring when I was with the Orioles. And so that was at, like, the year after they won the World Series. And so they still had all their like World Series guys. I just knew to pitch around. I knew where to throw the ball if I didn't want to give up damage. So I just tried to work him away. I threw him a changeup away, and he rolled over on it, but hit it up the middle. He hits a single off me. Like, okay, I can live with that.
And he can tell his kids, I gave up base hit to Juan Soto in my major league debut.
Try to get a ground ball double play or figure something else out. But yeah, I just definitely don't want him to beat me, or, especially leading off an inning.
Straight Olympic or World Championships have gone head to head. Good strikeout there. Rucker gets Bell. 2 down.
You've pitched against a couple Hall of Fame MVP type level guys, Christian Yelich, Joey Votto, Buster Posey, Juan Soto, to name a few, and you've actually fared pretty well against them.
Good job there. Ruckers look good.
Pneumatic feel. And Votto goes down on strikes.
5-1 lead. And he got him to wave at that.
And how tough are they to get out so like the fan knows at home really how amazing these guys are at the plate compared to like the average major leaguer?
Yeah, so what I'll say is, having stepped in the box myself, I did get one at bat against Corbin Burns of all people. and I've
Cy
had some
Young winner maybe.
Yeah, I've had some at bats at AA and AAA as well. But it's incredibly hard. It doesn't matter who you're facing. Like, hitting is incredibly hard, and just for them to have the consistency to, 3 out of 10, you're batting 300. That's the pinnacle of, what is deemed successful in baseball in terms of an average. But like, what they're doing outside, they're putting the barrel on the ball more than just 3 out of 10 times. They're putting the ball in play 8, 9 out of 10 times, like, with good exit velo. There just might happen to be one of the defenders in the way of that ball getting through and them getting on base. So they're incredibly good at what they do. They know their strengths, and they execute their game plans. And it's our jobs as pitchers to know what they're trying to do and create confusion, disrupt timing, change eye level. And the better I can do that and execute my pitches in the spots that I want to, the more success that I'm going to have.
Moving over more into like pre-game and pitching routine, what do you do before you take them out? I know a lot of guys like to use plyo balls and bands, but what do you specifically do before either a bullpen or you're going in game?
So as a reliever, we don't really get too much heads up on when we're going to be going into a game. Especially like if it's kind of like a mop-up duty kind of thing. The most important thing is just watching the game, knowing what hitters are coming up, knowing a little bit of how the manager is going to use you in a situation, and then just try to be prepared. Running or doing like stretches or arm stretches or bands, like, that's not going to wear you out if you don't end up getting your name called. But, the more throws that you make off a mound and then not end up going in a game, those are what kind of build up, and, those throws don't count. So we try to really get ready for the moments that we know that we're going to go into, and then just try to kind of be prepared prior to that. But what I like to do is just stretch, like do like a couple of high knees, do Jaeger bands, arm bands, get a good stretch. I don't have, honestly, that thorough of a warm-up routine. It's more just kind of listening to my body and knowing what I have to get warm, and then focus in on making the pitches that I've got to make to get the guys that I'm going to be facing out.
So you're doing all this, and then looking at some of your stats this year, your fastball and cutter were your two most thrown pitches at the big league level. Then you also got curveball, slider, changeup. How did you go around with finding your pitching arsenal and what pitches are right for you and what you like to throw the most?
So I've always kind of been able to spin the ball and manipulate it differently. As I've gone through, starting kind of in 2017, working my way to now, I've always tried to find a pitch that's been in between my curveball and my fastball that has the glove side break to it. I'd throw my curveball around 80, throw my fastball around 95. And so that's a big kind of gap between curveball and fastball that I feel like if I had another offering would be able to just throw the hitter off that much more. And that's kind of when I've toyed with cutter and slider, and really have kind of found that I can use both of them, and just kind of playing with that and trying to evolve that pitch into something that I can use to get hitters out. I'd like to use my cutter usually more to lefties and my slider more to righties. That's just kind of how it plays. If you've ever seen Max Scherzer splits, he kind of does the same thing. He'll throw his cutter more to lefties and his slider more to righties. But yeah, I think that having those weapons is kind of what helps me set up the hitters the way that I want to get them out.
And we have one of the best catchers here in Chicago, Wilson Contreras, I'm actually wearing his jersey right now.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
To manage his pitching staff behind the plate, be the captain of the whole defense. And you've had a couple of the guys you pitched to. I don't know if you pitched to Contreras this season because I knew he was on the IL later in the year, but Robinson Chirinos, Austin Romine, PJ Higgins maybe at AAA. Just how talented are those guys back there? Because it's not an easy job blocking 82 slider in the dirt and then getting a 100-mile-per-hour fastball next pitch.
Yeah, no, I mean, all our catchers are incredibly talented. I mean, the biggest thing that I think Contreras brings to our team, at least when he's behind the plate, is just his ability to control the running game, and that's been huge. I fell victim to it when I was pitching against the Royals. That's what they love to do. They love to run around. But just having him behind the plate, knowing that he can snap throw at any point to any base with something on it right where he wants it. It's just an incredible ability. But yeah, I mean, all of our catchers, as I've gotten to work with them and know them, and as they've gotten to know me and what I like to do, they're just total professionals about how they go about it. So we've got a good staff, and yeah, it's a good group for sure.
Looking at this 2022 Cubs pitching staff, a lot of unanswered questions, very young. You got Kyle Hendricks as the number one. You got Cody Hewer rounding out that bullpen, looking like the closer. What role do you see yourself in with this 2022 Chicago Cubs?
Yeah, we're gonna see a better group. I certainly think, but there's a lot of us that have the capability and the potential to, bring something special and to pitch meaningful innings and lock down the game when the offense gets a lead. I think that when we all come to spring training, there's going to be several jobs for guys to compete for. So, that's where I find myself, is competing for a job. And, based on what I've done in the past and then what I hope to continue to show in the future, is that I can be one of those main guys that Rossi and other guys can count on.
All right, last question here before I let you go. It's been a great interview. Honor to have you on the show.
Thanks.
First Major League Chicago Cubs player. We have I've had Cole Franklin on, who's in the system, top 10 prospect with our Chicago Cubs. What's your walk-up song going to be? I'm always interested on the major leaguers' music tastes.
So right now I've got Mr. Blue Sky as my walk-up song.
Oh, some ELO. I love it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like the kind of like happier, just get me in the right mood kind of things. Like in college I had I Need $1 by Aloe Black. So just kind of like those kinds of like vibes are like not like what really get me going. It's not stuff that I would necessarily listen to when I'm like lifting or working out, but when I'm taking them out, it's just a fun song that I feel like the fans can get into. And another reason why I pick Mr. Blue Sky is I love Guardians of the Galaxy, like Marvel movies and stuff, and it's just a fun song. So
yeah,
hope the fans like it as much as I do.
Yeah, that's a great choice. I mean, some guys, you get the fan favorite walk-up song like Rizzo with Intoxicated way back, and then you get some guys like I loved Kimbrel's walk-up song "Sweet Child of Mine" I by Guns N' Roses. I thought that fit him perfectly. And Mr. Blue Sky, phenomenal song by ELO.
Yeah, so Zobrist, his walk-up song for a while was Benny and the Jets.
Yeah.
And my dog, his name's Riggs. He's a little Jack Russell. Anytime that we play that, like on our Alexa speaker, he just howls and howls, and he just he'll sing to that song. He loves it. But yeah, no, walk-up songs can definitely do a lot for the player and make it fun for the fans. So
Riggs is sure a big Sir Elton John fan, I see. But
something about him, yeah. I don't know. Just when he hits that falsetto when he's singing Benny. Yep, got it.
Anyway, I think it's a good point to wrap up the show. Once again, I want to thank you, Michael, for joining us here on the Zoomer Sports Radio. And all on the YouTube, I'll link his Twitter and Instagram so you can go drop him a follow there. You'll be seeing him out at 1060 West Addison this year at Wrigley Field. Once again, thank you, Mike, for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. It's nice meeting you.
Nice talking to you. Hopefully I can see you sometime at Wrigley this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.